The NWSL and the WSL are very interlinked leagues. Players are constantly crossing back and forth between these two leagues depending on the growth of both the player and the league. Hi, I'm Ready Set Girl, your favorite sports YouTuber on both sides of the pond, and today I want to compare these two leagues. Because why not? Welcome back to the Ready Set Girl show. People always argue which one is better, which has the higher standard, and which is the future of women's football. This is something that I've been trying to unpack in my head for many months now, so let's do it together. There are a lot of similarities and similar differences between these two leagues, but let me lay the groundwork first. The NWSL, or the National Women's Soccer League, is the top professional women's soccer league in the United States and a Premier League globally, featuring top players from around the world. It was kind of the pioneer for women's football leagues. The first to be so successful, competitive, and expensive. That's because the women's football boom came first in the US before the rest of the world caught up. Established in 2013, the league has seen significant growth in teams and popularity, with its season running from April to October and featuring expansion teams like Angel City and Kansas City. And across the pond, the WSL, or the Women's Super League, is the top-tier professional women's football league in England. It was established in 2011, currently features 12 teams, and operates under a recently renamed company, WSL Football. The league is the highest level of women's association football in England and has seen significant growth in visibility and support, with a major broadcast partnership for the 2025-2026 season. The WSL, I would say, has definitely caught up with the NWSL in most ways. Both leagues offer the highest quality of football and is a very prestigious opportunity for any player who gets to play in either of them. A main difference, I'd say, between the two is that at the end of the NWSL season, the top 8 teams go into playoffs. So they have one league winner and one championship winner. The WSL doesn't have that. They just have one league winner, whoever finishes at the top of the table. I have 4 points to unpack: level of competition, fandom, type of football, and broadcast and pay. Let's get into it. Level of competition. I'm going to make a big statement now. I think the NWSL is the most competitive league in the world. Let me explain. In most leagues, there are 5 or 6 teams that you usually see oscillate at the top of the table. Not in the NWSL. Each team in the league at the start of the season has equal odds at winning the league. More or less, at least. Let me give you the example of Gotham FC, my own club. In the 2022 season, Gotham FC finished dead last, like rock bottom. They had just 4 wins all season, but in the 2023 season, they turned the table on its head and won the whole thing. Of course, they had changes. They hired a new coach, Juan Carlos Amaros, who revamped the whole squad. They also revamped their vision and identity. So, of course, changes were made, but the point is, they're proof that in the NWSL, most of the 15 teams exist at the same level. It's just super unpredictable. And because of the draft system, trades, and salary caps, the league is destined for parity. So on any given weekend, bottom of the table can absolutely smash the league leaders. But that's also why you don't really get dynasties. Sure, North Carolina Courage has had a strong run and the Portland Thorns are usually always contenders, but you rarely see the same team dominate for a decade. The WSL, on the other hand, is more like traditional European football. It's top-heavy. Chelsea under Emma Hayes have won 6 league titles in a row now. Arsenal and Manchester City have been consistently up there, and United only recently broke into the top tier. But the bottom half of the table, those teams are often fighting just to survive, and the gap in quality can be huge. You'll see 5-0, 6-0 scorelines, which almost never happens in the NWSL. So the verdict here, if you love parity and nail-biting competition, the NWSL wins. If you enjoy following powerhouse clubs and dynasties, the WSL is for you. And now we're moving to the point that fascinates me the most: the fandoms. In the US, women's soccer actually has deeper cultural roots than men's soccer. The US women's national team's dominance on the world stage since the 90s has built this incredible legacy. That passion has carried into the NWSL. Everyone who is a fan of the NWSL is intentionally and independently a fan of that club. Whether it's a residential city loyalty or attachment to certain national team players or just stumbling upon your soul club out of good luck, the NWSL is an independent franchise and has its very own fans. Clubs in the league also turn match days into cultural events. Celebrities in the stands, 20,000 plus fans every week, pre-game fan festivals with food stalls, games, and face painting. Even if you don't care about football, there is something for everyone. And my god, I've seen at the games how much the young girls and boys who come to watch enjoy it. It feels like a movement, not just a match. The WSL is a bit different. For a long time, crowds were small, but the Lionesses' Euro 2022 win changed everything. Suddenly, fans started showing up in big numbers. But here's the key difference. A lot of that support in the WSL is tied directly to the men's clubs. I mean, while I might not follow this principle, I understand how it's an easy route of entry for men's football fans who already have an affiliation. If you're an Arsenal fan on the men's side, it feels natural to go support the Arsenal women. Same with Chelsea, City, United. The brand, the legacy, the crest, all of that carries over, and it gives the women's teams a built-in fan base that's been following the club for decades. And when the big games are played at the men's stadiums like the Emirates or Stamford Bridge, you see just how powerful that connection is. Tens of thousands of fans show up, not just for the players on the pitch, but because the club means something to them. So when it comes to fandom, I don't know which one is better. The NWSL fan culture is more grassroots and more community driven, but the WSL's ability to plug into the men's club legacies is a huge advantage for long-term growth. It's a different kind of fandom, but it's growing at an insane pace. So you tell me in the comments, which one is better? Let's talk about the actual football on the pitch. The NWSL is fast, physical, chaotic, and honestly just super fun to watch. Games are often end-to-end with huge transitions, high pressing, and a lot of athleticism. Think of players like Lynn Williams or Sophia Smith. Pace, directness, and intensity. The WSL leans more tactical and technical. Teams like Arsenal or Chelsea build through possession, use width, and break teams down methodically. You'll see more structured defensive units, more emphasis on control, less on sheer chaos. If you're into strategy and seeing a chess match being played out, the WSL is for you. If you're into adrenaline, big tackles, and just more unpredictability, the NWSL is your league. Neither is better. It's really just about what you enjoy watching. Personally, I think the contrast is what makes women's football so great right now. Different styles thriving in different parts of the world. And now the big one. Money and media. The NWSL has had a rocky ride with broadcasting. For years, games were hidden away on hard-to-find streams. Recently, deals with CBS, ESPN, and streaming platforms have made it way more accessible, and there's a huge new rights deal kicking in soon that should change the game. Player pay has also been a huge issue. Before the Players' Union negotiated a historic collective bargaining agreement, salaries were shockingly low. Some players had to work second jobs. Things have improved now. The minimum salary has gone up, and allocation money lets teams bring in stars like Debinha or Caroline. The second most expensive transfer exists in the NWSL of $1.5 million set by Elizabeth Oval for Orlando Pride. But overall, most NWSL players still earn less than their WSL counterpart. The WSL, meanwhile, benefits massively from being linked to Premier League clubs. Broadcast on BBC and Sky Sports, so matches are regularly on Prime TV in the UK. Also occasionally free on the club YouTube channel. That visibility matters. In terms of salaries, top WSL players, especially at clubs like Chelsea or Arsenal, are earning six figures. They've also got access to world-class facilities, nutrition, medical teams, all resources that come with being part of a global football giant. The WSL has that to their advantage, where it's based. The UK has such a deep-rooted culture of football, it's basically in the DNA of the country. It's like India with cricket. No matter what format or level, there will always be an audience ready to turn up. So on this one, the WSL clearly leads. More visibility, more money, and more professional infrastructure. So which league is better? Honestly, it depends on what you value more. For sheer unpredictability and atmosphere, I'd pick the NWSL. For professionalism, big names, and tactical quality, the WSL might have the edge. But here's the exciting part. Women's football doesn't need just one best league. Both can thrive and push each other and raise the global standard. I want to hear from you. If you had to choose one league to follow all season, which one would it be? The NWSL or the WSL? Drop your answer in the comments and let's debate. Thank you for watching. See you next time.